JavaScript and the various way of creating the objects, and we will see how to get and set properties of object, how to iterate properties of the objects. After that we will see the various types of properties, the own properties and the prototype properties, and how prototype chaining works, and how we can create the prototype object and how we can inherit the prototype objects. Okay, so let's start with some coding. Okay, so first of all, in JavaScript we can donate object as in the form of key and value. Okay, for example, let's say object is equal to, so within the curly braces we will write the key and data in the form of key and the value. For example, key1, and assign the value 1. In the same way, key2 and the value 2, and so on. Okay, so let's run the example. Console log object so now we will see what it will console. So see, in output window we can see the object is this. This is the key1, the value 1, key2 and the associated value 2. So in JavaScript the object is just in the form of key and values, the key value pair. So values can be any type of object or any type or any object in JavaScript. For example, it can be a null, it can be an string, it can be an array, it can be a number, it can be a boolean, or it can be a function. Alright, so we can make this one, like for example we can write here, we can also assign the function as well. So it is called the anonymous function, the function without the name. So in JavaScript functions are the first class kind of objects. So we can assign a function to the variable, we can return a function as a variable. So we have assigned the function to the key print message, right? So the key name is print message and the value is the function. So now we can see the output. So we can see the print message contains the function. Okay, so it is the basic form of how to create the object. So there are various ways of creating object. The first one is the literal syntax. So we can create an object with the literal syntax. So it is an empty object. So within the curly braces, directly assigning the keys and value, which is called creating object with the literal syntax. Alright. Now the second way, which is to create object with the help of object constructor. Using object constructor. So we can create second object of obj2 new object. We can initialize this object with some properties as well if we want. So here we can see the object. It is a constructor, which is a root constructor in the JavaScript, which is provided. So each object is inherited with this object constructor, right? So if we create this object with the help of object constructor, it will add these properties, the key1 and key2, to the object obj2, and these properties will be the owned properties. We will discuss the prototype properties later, right? So these are called the owned properties. If we console, let's see the output of this one. Okay, the obj2 is the key1 value 1 and key2 value 2. So now I have created the object with the help of object constructor function. So object constructor is a root constructor function which is inbuilt in JavaScript. So we can see these are the as we can see these properties are called the owned properties. So there is one another kind of property which is called the prototype property, which will be discussed later, right? Okay, so there is another third way of creating object, which is using custom constructor function. So we can create object with the help of our custom constructor function. For example, I create a constructor function For example, employee. Okay. Okay, for example, I have a constructor function named employee, and I want to create object with the help of this constructor function instead of the object constructor function. So I want to use this function as a constructor to create an object. How we can do this? So inside the constructor function, we can add properties to this keyword. So this keyword actually notify the reference of the object which will be creating will be with the help of this constructor function. Again, this is this keyword is the reference of the object which will be creating with the help of this constructor function. So if we write, if we want to add a property name, so here we can write the property, we can add the property here, this dot prop1, and can pass the value 1. In the same way, this dot prop2 and can assign the value 2. So if we are adding the properties to this object, these properties will call, so these properties will be called own properties. So these are the own properties, right? So now I have to create the object obj3 new employee. So now our object is created. Let's console the object. Run. So here we can see the obj3 with the properties prop1 and prop2 that we have assigned here. So what we have seen here is the three different ways of creating an object. The one is the literal syntax, where we can assign directly the key and value inside the curly brackets. The second way is by creating object by using the object constructor, and the third way, creating object by using our custom constructor function. So we can also see the constructor function of the object by using object is being created. For example, if there is an object obj1, so we can see the constructor of this object. The constructor of obj1, we can see obj1 dot constructor. So here we can see the constructor of obj1 is the function object, because obj1 is created with the literal syntax. So if we create object with the literal syntax, so default constructor would be the object constructor. Now let's see the constructor of obj2. obj2 dot constructor. Here we can see the constructor of obj2 is itself the function object. It means if we create object with the help of literal syntax or with the help of object constructor, in the both way the constructor will be the object function. Now let's see the constructor of obj3. So here we can see the constructor of obj3 is the function, is the our custom function, this one, right? So there is another one way of creating object, which is actually this is the for creating the prototype properties. So whatever we have discussed here, all the properties are called the own properties. So there is one another properties which is called the prototype properties. Basically prototype properties are used for the inheritance purpose. So an object can share some of the properties to the other objects. These properties are called the prototype properties. The own properties cannot be shared, but the prototype properties can be shared, or an object can inherit the prototype properties of another object, or an object can share the prototype properties to the other objects. So basically prototype properties are being made for the sharing. So we will see in how to create prototype properties in the next session. So before this we can see how to get and set the properties, right? So as we can see, we can get the properties with just the name of the property. For example, if we want to access the object dot the name of the property, so we can get the value of the property, simple. Or we can set the property one by passing the value 1, right? So there is another way of setting the property. If the property name is dynamic, then we can set prop1. There is another way of setting the property. There is two ways. The one way is this, and the another way is this. It is basically if the property name is coming dynamically. For example, where prop name is prop1, and we want to add this prop name as the property name, then we can do this. Obj prop name is value1. So in next session we will discuss how to create prototype properties and how we can inherit or share the prototype properties. Hope you will like. I hope you like this tutorial. So please like and share. Thank you.